Kia ora, g'day, welcome back once again, here with another reaction to Mr. J. Cowell, former 2-2 SAS operator on the Sean Ryan Show. Interesting point, just yesterday I heard that, and by the time you see this recording it'll be a few weeks probably down the track, but I just discovered through comments on my channel that Jay's videos on the GBRS site have been all taken down. Now maybe they've been moved behind a paywall or some sort, maybe Patreon or something like that. But from what other comments people have shared that have taken their time, and thank you very much for leaving comments on my channel and on my reactions to Jay Cowell's interview here, they've said that it appears it has something to do with the MOD, the Ministry of Defence over there in the UK. So that sucks, but I'm hoping, I've still got a little over an hour to go on this interview. I'm hoping Sean Ryan doesn't take this interview down. So anyway, let's jump back in.
Now, all of these things I've said are factual, and he's even admitted that that's exactly what it was, but he didn't understand the ramifications of it, or where it would go.
I think he's talking about from the last reaction, the head of the special operations for I think at least for the UK, and I think it's him that he's talking about, that he's admitted that to Jay, but he didn't expect the ramifications. It's interesting, man. I mean, we'll likely never hear that fella admit or confess to that on something like this. Yeah, that is what I said to Jay Cowell, but anyway.
And what's ironic to me is that when he left that position, which is the head position in UK Special Forces, his next guy in came and spoke to us in theatre and said this would have, quote, a witness, a room full of people, this would have never happened under my watch. That's never excessive force, and you did the right thing. That's what he said. He's changed his tone on that a little bit now, and he's gone back on it, but he forgets that we were all there when he said it. So,
far out, man. If only that was recorded, eh? Oh, even then, it probably still wouldn't stop some people from going back on what it is that they've just said. But a room full of people, you come out and say that, and now the person's changed their tune a bit for whatever reason.
The outgoing guys.
Who is this?
Who was it? What was his name? It'll come to me. Nick. I think his name's Nick. He'll come to me, but he's the current director of Special Forces. So the guy that replaced Gwyn Jenkins. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody understands why this has happened, but nobody's doing anything about it. So this is where it starts to unravel, and this is where the real consequences of people's actions of throwing good guys under the bus. Not only does it undermine the confidence in the chain of command, not only does it undermine the individual operator's confidence, to the point where team leaders coming in to replace us were telling us we're not putting our guys on the ground, because if they do what they're supposed to do, they're going to get this treatment. We had guys in the squadron that didn't want to soldier. We had guys that have left the military. Out of the 4 guys in my team, 2 of us left. One of them tried to leave but couldn't for visa issues, which I'll explain. And one of them is still serving his country after what they've done. What a fucking hero, what a fucking good dude that is. But
wow.
It was just how the whole thing was handled. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics of pointing the finger at every single person that's been unprofessional in this, because the blame solely lands at Gwyn Jenkins' door. And he's been recently...
I love that he's called out this Gwyn, whatever his face is, Jenkins. What a twat.
Promoted to the First Sea Lord, which is an extremely high position within the military. He was the military intelligence advisor to the former Prime Minister. When the new government got in, he lost that job, and then he got given the First Sea Lord job, and everyone's there going, oh, what a great guy, what a great guy. Nah, he's not. And for anyone watching this, you need to be careful, because that man only cares about himself. He doesn't care about protecting the reputation of the regiment. He cares about himself, because he knows that he's under the crosshairs for this Afghanistan stuff. So we were sent down the river. We were told, ordered to write witness statements with no legal representation in theatre. I voiced my concerns about that, and I think I was right to do so, because all the Royal Military Police did was they took witness statements that we were made to write, and by made to write, we were given a document that said, if you do not do this, you will be charged, etc., etc., etc. So we weren't given an option, basically. And I said, okay, we'll do the witness statements, but I think we should have legal representation. No, you don't need it. Don't worry about it. The first thing that the Royal Military Police used against us was our own witness statements that we told them we should have legal representation for this. So without any context or no evidence, they were using our own words against us, even though we said, hang on a minute, can we have some protection here?
Far out. I'm not laughing at him or at that. I'm just laughing at a memory here. After my incident up in Auckland, the lawyer that the unit got to come speak with me, he basically told me off. Wish I remembered his name. I can sort of vividly picture his face, not quite clearly. But yeah, he gave me a bit of a dressing down in the context of, why did you give a bloody statement to the police? And why did you give a video recorded statement to the police? You should have basically told me you should have shut your mouth and said nothing until you had legal representation, until you had a lawyer. So yeah, my response to him at the time was like, I didn't know any better. I just figured, I know I've done something wrong. I expect to be punished. And I think I said to him, but I didn't expect to be potentially going to jail or losing my career over a couple of guys that had a bit to drink having a fight. Different story if somebody had died. Yeah, but it's two guys that had a punch up. I had a black eye. He had more than a black eye, but still, I wasn't expecting to be faced with losing my career over it. So legal representation is the takeaway I took from that conversation more than 20 years ago. And yeah, it's surfacing here. Pretty hard, though, in their case, in their situation, when you got the RMPs, Royal Military Police, telling you, nah, it's all right, you don't need it. Far out, man.
So they were caught out with that, which obviously impacted us.
They trapped you.
They trapped us. Yeah. And, I'll read you some of the impact statements from the individuals shortly. I'll give you a broad brush and then I'll get into some details. This happened 3 years ago, Sean. And it's only last week that they've concluded that there was no wrongdoing and we've been acquitted of all charges. No sorry. No compensation, emotional compensation, no nothing.
Wow.
And
this is why I get a bunch of those comments in my channel and on some of the reactions, not all of them, around why would anybody want to go serve a government that's going to treat them like this, or a unit that's going to treat them like this. Now, I don't know if this is coming from the unit, but clearly there's some snakes in and around places of power and position and influence that when they're in the firing line, or when they're in the crosshairs, as Jay puts it, they bloody slither away and hide underneath a rock, and they try to deflect and send or put other people in the firing line, which is it's pathetic, man. Gwyn Jenkins, eh? There's a name to remember. Absolute twat.
Ruin people's lives, and it's something that needs to be addressed, because this can't happen again, and it's not okay, and it's not fine to just wash it under the carpet and carry on. That's not in my nature. This isn't about anything other than having our perspective put across. And I've spoken to all the guys involved, and they fully support what I'm doing, because they know, hopefully, this might prevent it from happening in the future. I've already won the battle in terms of I've been acquitted. I've been vindicated that I did the right action after 3 years. 3 years. To a point where I was even questioning my own self, That's a dark place to be. And it's a very stressful situation to be under investigation for double murder, something that isn't true, and something that doesn't read well. Can you imagine having that conversation with a 15-year-old? Can you imagine having that conversation with your mother? Can you imagine having that conversation with your loved ones, your friends, your girlfriend? It's a heavy thing to carry, and we have done it. We've carried it for 3 years, and now it's finally gone away. And
all the media picked this up.
And all of the media picked this up. We didn't get a voice. We didn't get our opinion. We've not said a word. We've been professional. We've been
trialed by media, man. Just getting smashed left, right, and centre. 3 years to have that weight. Was it Big Phil talks about the sword of Damocles hanging over their head? You know, having that, something like that, the weight of that, just waiting to be dropped on you for 3 years, and then to finally be told, thankfully, fully acquitted, no apology, no nothing. Now where's the media? Maybe there's media stuff out there. I haven't gone searching to have a look to see if media's looking to what's the word I'm looking for? Or looking to cover off on the story that was put forward about guys like Jay and committing murder. I haven't seen or heard any news stories around, you know, some of the even if it's just mentioned, some of the 2 SAS operators have been fully acquitted and it has been proved that there was no wrongdoing. You know, bloody do your job, media. If you're just going to put out one part of the story whilst it's juicy, and then, oh no, that's boring now, they've been acquitted. Far out. Sad.
dignified, and we've carried on, essentially, just trying to maintain some sort of level of sanity and try and rebuild our lives. But the level of accuracy of the media reports has to have been from a leak. Has to have been. There's no way on earth they've got the picture completely wrong and there's no context in it. But the broad brush, the main details are roughly fairly accurate to a point. So it has to have come from inside the organization itself. And it's incredibly difficult.
Bloody people leaking out information. Maybe it's come from that bloody Jenkins again.
When people keep putting stuff in the newspapers, on the news, and family members are reading it, and it's always murder. You can't look past the word murder. I've never murdered anyone in my life. I'm a professional soldier that does exactly what I'm supposed to do inside the confines of my rules of engagement to neutralize the threat if needs be. Like I've been trained to the highest level. I've operated next to some of the most professional operators on the planet. Like, professionalism is something that we take extremely seriously. And it's insulting to me that people would think that we were unprofessional. And it's shameful that they can band us with accusations in order to save their own personal careers. That's disgusting. That should never happen ever again. But it just kept going and going and going. And they tried to arrest us all at the same time, but they failed miserably because of the RMP, the military police's incompetence. Okay. I'll tell you my personal situation first. They flew out to theatre. They came to our operation station, our command post. They arrested me. They searched my room. They confiscated my tablets and my phones, so I couldn't contact my family. And I don't know what they were looking for. I don't know what they were looking for on there. Their argument was, well, we have to arrest you so we can seize your personal electronic devices. I was like, they're in a bag. There you go. You can take them. So yeah, but we need to search your room. The keys are there. Do it. They still did it. So technically, I've been arrested for murder at this point. Now, when people look at investigations in the past, oh, we've done this before. Yes and no. Nobody's been arrested for it. Okay. One of the guys was arrested in front of his mother, in front of his sister, and the RMPs told him, we're arresting your son for murdering 2 civilians. I've got it all written down. I've got it all here, everything documented. One of the guys was arrested at his home in front of his wife, where the policeman told his wife squarely in the eyes, we're arresting your husband for murdering 2 civilians. You can't unsee that. Family members will never, ever be able to unsee that. One guy was tricked by the RMPs of coming for an interview under caution. They got him in a room. They basically locked the room and said, bang, you're under arrest, so they could search him whilst we're deployed. whilst we're out there serving our country, still operational, still trying to do the right thing. And we have to deal with this not only at home, but also overseas. Okay. So it's a lot for people to deal with.
Holy heck. I love that Sean. Yeah, that Sean's provided the environment, but I love that Jay has called this out, man. Far out. It throws questions up, and this is the first time that I can recall that I've ever had questions personally around why would anyone want to go serve in SF and 2-2? Like, for me, 2-2's always been there. NZ, Australia, obviously the Americans. To know that something like this can happen to operators like Jay and his other teammates. That's speechless, eh? That sucks, man. Regiment needs to sort something out, or the leaders within that regiment and whoever the dickheads are that they decide to put in charge. There needs to be far better leadership and looking after these people. The RMPs have a bit to answer for too, eh? Just listening to what they've done. I mean, what's the process? How do you go around doing stuff like that? Yep. Hey, I suppose the argument could be made they're following orders too. Are you following orders when you're looking the mother or the wife or the sister of the person that you are arresting and saying, we're arresting your son or your husband or your brother for murdering 2 civilians? Where is that in the playbook? Is that in your playbook, or are you just using that to blink and toot your own horn, beat your own chest? It's that's unprofessional. Sounds unprofessional to me anyway. Man, it doesn't paint a strong come and join the regiment picture for anybody, I don't think. Not because of the regiment, not because of the operators, but because of, like, what Jay's trying to highlight and why he's coming out, because he doesn't want this to happen again, because of what could potentially happen just for doing your job and doing your job as professionally as you can and to the highest standards possible.
We were offered next to no support when it comes to legal aid. It was 65 days. I think I've got the detail. I'm going to read all this stuff out in a minute, but it was over 2 months of limbo where we had no legal support because they couldn't be read on to the specifics of the operation, which we're not talking about, for legal reasons and disclosure reasons. But we couldn't even get lawyers. They wouldn't even provide us with lawyers. And the ones that they did provide us with initially wouldn't do it because they weren't getting paid enough money by the MOD. It's disgraceful. So a lot of the guys felt very isolated. Fast forward till 14 months ago, I'd left the military. I was trying to put everything behind me, move on, and try and give something back. I took a job for GBRS as their lead instructor. I went out to Virginia Beach, and I was staying with DJ and Patsy at the time, lived in their house for the best part of 3 months. And I was granted an O1 visa for extraordinary ability. And that O1 visa was a pull, not a push. And what I mean by that, I was written commendations from SWAT team guys. I'd also spent some time at the unit. I'd trained guys from Green Team as a guest instructor. I deployed with the US flag on my chest. The United States asked me effectively to come out and help train law enforcement officers, SWAT teams, military units, etc., etc.
That is awesome, eh? Far out. Amazing. That's just mind-blowing, that is, to get invited out there, to be asked, to be pulled in, to be having those types of letters of recommendation, commendation written up, and then to back that all up and go and deliver all that stuff. I mean, he's training blanking experts, professionals, high level, highly skilled, highly trained, highly driven people, and he's been brought in to train them. It just gives you a small indication of what level Jay was at, is at, with regards to his knowledge and skill.
What I was going to go and do. That was my future. I come back to the UK to collect my visa, and one of the things that you need to provide is a sheet which states whether you've got a criminal record or not. I don't have a criminal record because I've been in the military for the best part of 20 years serving my country. But on this piece of paper, it says wanted for investigation, under investigation for murder. Now, I'm at the US Embassy with this sheet, and I have to show this to that lady, at which point they're like, negative, we are not giving you a visa because it says you're under investigation for murder, which has been vindicated that is obviously not correct. So it's impacted my life. I came back from Virginia Beach for 3 days. I was supposed to be there for 3 days with a small bag to...
Surely there must be some sort of bloody compensation that should be able to... Loss of earnings or income or whatever. I don't know. Man. I hope some lawyer or lawyers of bloody would reach out to Jay and hopefully help him and the other members of his team get some sort of justice. It just sounds like they've been shafted for 3 years and then just told, okay, sorry, or not even sorry. Okay, you're acquitted. You didn't do anything wrong. On your bike. See you later. Crap, man.
Collect my visa from the US Embassy in London and then go on with the rest of my life. And it's been a heavy few years, and for the first time I felt positive and I felt like I could get on with my life and I could change direction, and it was all good until that moment. One of the other guys tried to do exactly the same. He was that broken by this whole process that he decided to leave. He was an A-stream operator. He was selected to be a troop sergeant major, and he turned it down. He was like, no, I don't want anything to do with this because of the way that we've been treated by this individual and by the RMP. This is all about how he treated us and how the RMP treated my teammates, okay?
Okay, that's good. That has just lifted the heaviness and the feeling that I was thinking, whereby it was directed towards the regiment. So it sounds like it's squarely with this Jenkins clown and the RMPs and those dickheads within that unit, or within that part of the military. I shouldn't say that, not all of them. Whoever those dickheads were and are that were a part of this particular investigation and arresting these operators.
It's very difficult for guys to move on with their life when you've got this thing hanging over them in the back of your mind. It only feels like I left the army last week. I've been a civilian for coming up to 2 years, but I only feel like I left the army last week, and it's had a fucking significant effect on my life, how I feel, my teammates' lives, my teammates' families' lives. It's caused the breakdown of 2 relationships. Guys that have given everything and love that regiment to death, and I still do, have had to walk away from it.
Okay, yeah, definitely makes me feel a lot better. He still loves the regiment, the work, the men, I assume. So it's not the unit, which, far out. A bit of relief for me personally, like, even though I've never served there, knowing some people that have gone there and that have served there and some that are still serving there, it's, that warms the heart again. But also it still must make it challenging, I would imagine, from a recruitment perspective. That's what I'm thinking anyway. It'd be interesting to know what sort of impact, if any, this sort of stuff has had on people applying to want to join and serve in the regiment. Hopefully it's still high, or I don't even know if it's high or if it ever was high. Hopefully they're still getting the same sort of numbers that want to go in there and serve. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up here. I reckon that's probably nearly 30 minutes. But if you stuck around this long, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. I'm pleased to know that this hasn't been taken down anyway, and there's still just a little over an hour left of my reaction to do. So maybe that's another 3 or 4 sessions, maybe 5, I'm not sure. But I will look to chip away at it and get it done as soon as I can. So anyway, as always, the message is the same, far out. Any hard times that you may be going through, difficult times, dark times, sometimes it may be days, weeks, months, or years, like it has been for Jay and for many other people as well. It could be to do with anything. It could be to do with relationships, employment, whatever. Just all I can do really is just encourage you to keep turning up, keep staying in the fight. Know that we've all been in those dark places, every single one of us, you, me, people that you know, your closest friends, people that seem to have the perfect life. Everybody's been through these hard times and dark challenges, and more will come in the future, no doubt. But hopefully, as you keep turning up, keep staying in the fight, take one day at a time, putting one foot in front of the other, and overcome each of those, hopefully the next challenge, we're able to understand that this won't last forever, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that the sun will shine again. So as always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me to you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation, and gratitude for you all.